My Lords, can I congratulate Noble Lord Sicker on securing this important debate. Looking at the actual HMRC report in question here today, it states that we use a range of internal and external data and different analytical techniques to produce annual estimates, which we revise as more accurate data becomes available. These are our best estimates based on the information available, but there are many sources of uncertainty and potential error. For this reason, it is best to focus on the trend in the results rather than the absolute numbers when interpreting findings. As the Noble Lord Sicker has pointed out, it certainly is not a complete and full way of measuring things. Generally, the VAT tax gap, which is where I'm going to focus my remarks, is measured using the top-down approach. That's to say, finding the tax base, in other words, the theoretical amount of tax that should be paid, and compare that to the amount that's actually paid. The alternative bottom-up approach uses HMRC operational knowledge to identify areas of loss, and then the two are combined to find some sort of common estimate, common ground. Even the HMRC doesn't seem to have real confidence in its own figures. They are frequently revised, and as I say, they urge us to look at the trends rather than the absolute amounts. My interest in the tax gap stems from learning about the work undertaken by vatfrauds.org and RAVAS, Retailers Against VAT Avoidance Schemes, led by the very able and admirable Richard Allen. This organisation pointed out many years ago that the VAT loophole that existed as retailers transported, believe it or not, goods to the Channel Islands, transported them back to the UK simply to avoid VAT under the Low Value Consignment Relief Scheme. HMRC were in complete denial about the problem and did not take adequate steps to alert ministers to the issue. What was the shortfall to HMRC? Well, HMRC estimated 85 million, but realistically it would have been much nearer to 300 million, and of course many businesses in the UK went bust at the time. Subsequently, RAVAS looked at the much bigger issue of VAT abuse by online offshore retailers. In 2015, Mr. Allen was approached by businesses who found themselves having to compete with Chinese traders who were not charging VAT, but were sending goods from UK warehouses. The sums of money involved were eye-watering, and estimated of at least 1 billion in VAT was being evaded every year on sites like Amazon and eBay. A dossier was given to the then Chancellor, George Osborne, with the assistance of my noble friend Lord Lucas and myself. Over the next 5 years, HMRC again gave every possible reason not to take effective action, claiming that the sums of money we said were being lost had been exaggerated. Eventually, an expose by Panorama, numerous debates in Parliament, and the involvement of the National Audit Office resulted in measures that now bring in 1.4 billion per year of VAT that was otherwise being lost. This figure was confirmed by Jim Harrow, no less, in the Public Accounts Committee of November 21, and in February this year, at question 39, he admitted that the new measures, quote, were bringing in much more of the previously lost VAT yield than we had anticipated. We had a level of registrations far in excess of what we forecast, end of quote. So I was a witness to and participant in all this, and so my point is twofold. First, that a top-down approach would not have revealed this loss of tax, and second, we must learn to listen to whistleblowers like Mr. Allen for these type of abuses. So can my noble friend the Minister tell the House what processes are in place to look at all possible tax loopholes and investigate whistleblowers' reports? I'm sure there are many more opportunities to close the tax and VAT gap, but we must listen to the people on the ground who are good enough to let us know of the problems. By the way, it's to HMRC's eternal shame that Mr. Allen was never recognised or thanked for his role in closing the loopholes, and in fact, he ended up having to pay HMRC for the cost of his Freedom of Information requests. I hope the Minister picks this up and reflects on what happened. Now, interestingly, Mr. Allen has identified another area where there is undoubtedly a huge tax gap. This is a new form of abuse involving sellers who operate outside the jurisdiction of the new rules. They are not registered for VAT and have no need to be, as they are essentially based mainly in China, and as such impossible to pursue. They sell their products directly to UK customers. Their websites target UK customers and are filled with reviews, probably fake, but with reviews from UK customers, and the goods are sent by post, so there's no VAT collection. Yes, HMRC does undertake some checks on the border, but it's impossible to look at every item, and attempts to ascertain value by, for example, weighing clothes are somewhat primitive. Let us be clear. At the moment, if a seller is in China or any other country and posts a package to the UK with no VAT added as they haven't registered for VAT, as they should have done, then HMRC is in reality powerless to collect the VAT due. The simple solution could be a VAT passport on all goods via a QR code, which simply closes down a VAT gap and which is yet to be quantified or recognised. So it's a digital solution. A QR code is essentially a VAT passport. A foreign seller will then have to prepay any VAT due, and a barcode scan can inform HRC of the exact details of the consignment. As every seller has a unique QR code, it will be easy to identify them and, of course, the recipient. As tax becomes digital, it's up to us to embrace opportunities like these. It's just one idea to reduce the real VAT tax gap, which TaxWatch advises me is €23 billion in the UK, which embarrassingly places us second out of European countries in terms of absolute loss and seventh in the table of VAT loss as a percentage of total available revenues. So perhaps my noble friend, the Minister, can tell the House if HMG are looking at bringing in a VAT passport, and if they are not, perhaps they have plans for alternative methods of capturing the VAT owed. The status quo is clearly shortchanging the UK taxpayer. We can do better.
Turning to the points raised by my noble friend Lord Leigh, the government is grateful to Lord Leigh and retailers against VAT abuse schemes for their work on highlighting areas of non-compliance from overseas businesses selling goods into the UK. Now the UK has left the EU, the government has used this freedom to create a fairer and more robust system for the collection of VAT on overseas goods. On the 1st of January 2021, the government abolished low-value consignment relief, which was subject to widespread abuse, and moved the collection of VAT on most goods from overseas with a value not exceeding £135 away from the border. Now, overseas sellers and online marketplaces, where they facilitate a sale to the UK customers, must register, charge and pay VAT to HMRC. The new treatment ensures the continued flow of goods at the UK border, clamps down on non-compliance and protects revenue. In 2021, the Office for Budget Responsibility estimated that the changes will raise over £1.4 billion, with similar levels in future years, reflecting a change in where VAT liability falls following Brexit. HMRC does continue to review the impact of the policy, including what options exist to tackle non-compliance by overseas sellers. And officials are aware of the VAT passport proposal and are considering it alongside other proposals to tackle non-compliance.